Welcome back, everyone, to the Twisty Test Championship for probably one of the most anticipated matchups of this entire tournament. And it is England, of course, who will be taking on Ireland, who have been injected into this tournament at the expense of India. Obviously, we all know the circumstances around that. If you haven't done that, you can tune in and watch my round 2 update video as I sort of discussed why India is no longer in the tournament. But for England, that means they basically got a free hit here, or at least a second opportunity to right those wrongs that they had in that game against India. You know, in that game, they were obviously not in an ideal position. They ended up going on to lose. And the news from the middle in this game is that England have won the toss and they've elected to bowl. So that's an interesting choice from their point of view, but a lot of this game, I guess, a lot of the focus will be on England. How will they respond after that loss to India? Is this the game that gets their campaign in the Test Championship back up and running? We've seen them, you know, they've only had the one draw so far if you discount their loss, which means they're well and truly in this. Obviously, Pakistan have just suffered a loss at the hands of Australia, so a bit of an opportunity for England to get themselves right back in the mix, you know, for second place at the moment. Australia's obviously in first with 2-0. But yeah, a lot of focus maybe on England in this one. So could be, you know, maybe a free hit for the Irish here. You know, they know that they can bowl England out quite cheaply. They did it at Lord's. They bowled them out for 85 or whatever it was at some point last year prior to the Ashes. So they would be feeling relatively confident about their bowling lineup. It'll just be how will their batting go and will there be enough? There's an outside edge from Sterling, and there is the first wicket for England. So it's Stuart Broad who actually provides that breakthrough, and, well, good start from England's point of view. So it's now Balbirnie into the middle for the Irish. Now, one thing my Twitch stream suggested was that I should commentate this in both an English and an Irish accent. I feel like that's a bit absurd, because I'm sure a lot of you will be like, what are you doing, you absolute muppet of a man? But maybe we can give it a crack for a couple of deliveries. So I'm not sure when we will change between accents, but yes, Jofra Archer coming in hot. Oh no, that was like Scottish. Oh God. Alright, I'm done. I've had enough. This is a classic driver. Absolutely classic. Inside edge all the way to the boundary for 4 from the fine leg. And now this on drive. How fantastic's that? Porterfield picks up 3 more runs to the total. Geez, I'm going between different counties here, I feel. Anyway, there's an outside edge. Porterfield will go. It's Jofra Archer who gets the wicket. Some searing pace. England with no frontline spinner, of course, in this attack, so they'll see how the seamers go. They've got 4 of them. Actually, they've kind of got 5 if you count Stokes, right? Archer gets Porterfield for 23, 48 for 2. Now McCollum comes in for the Irish, who at the moment 48 for 2. It's actually not, I guess, the worst possible start from them. Oh, there could be a run out at the bowler's end. Gee, the ball should have gone there instead. But look at them. They've actually managed to push on here to 60 for 2. I don't know what I was sort of expecting from Ireland in this matchup. Whether they, you know, I was saying maybe 120 is like a good score for them, or like a reasonable score. Anyway, here's wicket number 3. So just as I thought it maybe was a little bit getting on, it's Stuart Broad who picks up another. Just a little outside edge there. Through to Joss Butler. And the seamers effective so far. They've taken all the wickets. There is a bit of swing in the air, and there is actually a little bit of movement off the pitch as well. So Balbirnie out for 16, 62 for 3. The Irish. With O'Brien now in towards the middle as we head sort of closer towards the end of the first session. And yet there looks like there's going to be a 4th wicket dropping. It's Sam Curran this time. I think that means all the bowlers do have a wicket to their name. Unless, and no, Anderson hasn't got one yet. So Broad's got 2, Archer's got 1, and Curran's got 1. But the seamers have been really quite effective in this first session. As we head, as I said, towards the end of it. This is just a regulation red ball test match. Unlike some of the other day-night matches we've seen in recent times. Is that another edge? No, it's a play and a miss. And that will take us to the lunch break. 78 for 4. Ireland. Pointer, Stuart Pointer, and Kevin O'Brien, the two guys out in the middle. Yeah, wicketkeeper Mark Adair is next in line to be batting. So at the moment, they're not in, I guess, a horrible position. But I guess if you weren't expecting too much from Ireland, this is probably not a bad spot for them to be in. It's probably maybe similar to where you would have been expecting them to be. But obviously, we know they can bowl England out for 88. So if they just pass that mark, then all of a sudden, they're in a pretty good spot, aren't they? Anyway, this will be some more runs here. But what we've seen in the Test Championship lately is we've seen a bit of a drop-off in the scoring. Since we lowered that run rate, obviously more wickets have been falling in sort of a similar amount of time. So, you know, teams are only scoring 250, 300 an innings, not scoring the big sort of 350 plus level scores we've been seeing in the earlier stages of the tournament. So, obviously that's the trade-off with the run rate, and the run rate goes down, which I'm sure a lot of you guys were, you know, appreciating, but it does mean the scores maybe aren't quite as high as we probably like them to be. So maybe I'll tick that run rate up a little bit as we head towards the next round. I don't want to do it in the middle of a round. It sort of just adds a little bit of inconsistency to things, but we'll see how that goes and how important that'll be come later in the tournament, of course. And this is actually a little bit of a good partnership being built here between Pointer and O'Brien. It's got to be worth close to 40-odd runs. You can see O'Brien there on 22, Pointer pushing up towards 28 as he just punched that ball through the back foot towards deep extra cover. Picks up 3 more runs for his troubles. 4, actually. We're here to the halfway point of the day, and that's whipped away. That'll be 4. Now I think we'll definitely bring up the 50-run partnership between these two. 122 for 4. Oh, it's hit him on the pad. Was there any bat involved is probably the first question. Second question might have been, where was it going from there? Certainly looked close. It hits him on the back pad. That's going to be trouble. So we are seeing a review up here. And what's his name? Joe Root has sent it upstairs. Very hard to tell on the snicko whether there was any bat involved. Hotspot might give us a bit of a better indication. Even that's not hard. Can we have an offside hotspot? No, okay, apparently not. So, third umpire has determined there was no bat involved. Pitching outside off. Impact is umpire's call, and that means that despite the ball hitting the stumps, it's going to remain not out, as that was the original umpiring decision. So, a good review from Joe Root's point of view, but it doesn't bring the rewards they were hoping. And Ireland moved to 126 for 4 after 46.
Yep.
Oh, look at that. They just leave mid on open. He was able to sort of flat bat it in the way across there. He sort of just whipped it. It wasn't really a drive. It's just sort of a push. Like to use the wrist to put it into that on-drive area. This is another big shout, and this time it's given. So Joffre gets the wicket this time. Stuart Pointer out for 34, decided not to go upstairs for a review. It did look like he might have inside edged it, but maybe not the case as he was walking from the field. So Ireland lose their 5th wicket. Their partnership comes to a bit of a close. They've got a rebuild now with Adair and O'Brien. And there's an outside edge of Adair, and there's another wicket, and it's Archer again. That's 3 for him. Just maybe chasing the ball. You don't really need to be chasing, although that's actually not a bad delivery, is it? It's sort of hitting maybe 4th stump, top of 4th stump on the offside. So it does sort of force the play for maybe some of these lesser experienced test match players like the Irish and like Mark Adair there. They are 137 for 6. Oh, there could be a run out now at the bowler's end. Geez, Archer was quick with the bails off, but they did manage to get home. There's now a lot of responsibility, I guess, goes to O'Brien. He's got to see the bowlers through this tricky little period, at least get them to tea. They've got 6 more overs till the tea break, and will love a score in excess of 200. So at the moment, that's the 150 up for them. I just wonder what's a decent first innings total. Obviously, Ireland are batting first, so they are putting a bit of pressure on England here, making them bat second. Although that's, I guess, England's choosing, really. They were the ones who elected to bowl. As we see another shout here. Maybe just pitching outside leg there for Anderson. Out. That time edged. And that'll be the end of Thompson. So another wicket falls. There's been a few fall in this session. I think that makes it the third wicket to fall this session after 4 fell in the first. So England continuing to sort of hold their position on top of the game at the moment. The seamers, all the wickets caught behind. Actually, there was one LBW, I think, but majority of them caught behind. 160 for 7. There you go, look at that. 5 dismissals for Joss Butler, 1 from Stokes in the slips. So at the tea break, it's 160 for 7, 6 dismissals behind the wicket. The seamers certainly doing the job for England. They'll be pretty pleased that they did pick an all-seam lineup for this matchup. Other than, I guess, Joe Root, who's probably going to bowl a bit of spin later on, as O'Brien picks up a single, and that will be a half century for him. Huge from the Irishman. Just the 3 boundaries. He's taken 106 deliveries to get there, but he's fought his way through to get all these runs, and certainly without him, Ireland would be probably all out by now. But they continue to push this total along as they head towards a 200-plus score, which, as we've seen lately, is not the worst kind of a score in this tournament. It can be sort of a handy score if you can then knock over the next team quite quickly. There's a direct hit. And the umpire says we'll send it upstairs. I'm not sure. But it looks pretty close. And on slow-mo, it looks out. It looks very out. So that will be the end for another Irishman. I don't think it is the main man. It is Andy McBride, the seamer. Not Kevin O'Brien, who has, of course, been in fine form at the wicket. And they are now 175 for 8. There's a sharp chance. Off Young, goes to hand, and Anderson finally takes a wicket. He's the only one of the bowlers who hadn't done so far. But this one, really nice and high. A good catch there was taken by Joe Denley. Ireland 175 for 9. How many more runs can they get before the end of the innings? So it's just been 9 overs in this session, and it has been 2 more wickets falling for the Irish. Oh, almost a third. There was an outside edge off Murtaugh that just wasn't quite held on to. But gee, that was a close chance. Let's have a look at this on the replay. Not sure who it was. It was Zach Crawley jumping to his right-hand side. Unable to get it. And now a top edge from Murtaugh goes to the boundary. So maybe they will end up with 200 here. They're on 188 at the moment, the Irish. Just 12 more runs would be required to get them there. This will be a single. So Brian happy to give Murtaugh the strike. And maybe he shouldn't have, because he's nicked it straight to Butler. And Ireland are all out for 191. So mentally they'll feel a little bit disappointed that they didn't quite push past that 200-run mark. Kevin O'Brien, the standout performer there, 62 not out, as everyone sort of fell around him. It was just a 150-run partnership as well for that 5th wicket before, just continuous wickets falling for the Irish. So England, I guess, if you're batting on day 1 after winning the toss and electing to bowl, you'd be pretty happy with that. After about 70 overs, I think, of Ireland batting. So there's still a little bit of a period here for England to be batting. They can make a bit of a dent on this scoreboard as well. Maybe pick up 50 or 60 odd runs. And from their point of view, they wouldn't want to lose too many wickets. Obviously, that would be less than ideal, as we see an outside edge in the first wicket fall. It's Dom Sibley, who just got the outside edge of his blade. The keeper, Pointer, taking the catch. Jeez, I thought Adair was the keeper. It's actually Pointer. My mistake, everyone. England 5 just runs on the board and 1 wicket down. Joe Denley making his way to the middle. That ball there. Maybe a little opportunity here for Ireland. Oh, he's bowled him. He's gone straight through him. Joe Denley has completely missed the ball, and England have lost 2 for 5 in the opening few overs. His middle and leg stumps obliterated. Denley out for a duck. Joe Root to the middle. England maybe in a bit of strife here as the captain makes his way to the middle. So yeah, I was going to say, it's a tricky little period here. Not sure how many overs they're going to get through. Like somewhere in the 15 over range, you'd imagine. There's another shout and maybe a run out to get home safely. But geez, those 2 quick wickets just change the game for Ireland and gives them a little bit of hope that their seamers can do the job here. That was Murtagh picking up both of those wickets. And, you know, it's just good. It was just good bowling. Look out here, 13.5 overs. O'Brien's bowled a couple of overs after he was very good with the bat. 24 for 2. How much longer have we got in the day's play? We've just actually ticked over 6 o'clock, which means that'll be the end of the innings for the English. They do survive until stumped, but here were those 2 wickets again. Dom Sibley out, and then Joe Denley off the last ball of that over, trying to play through the line of the leg stump. Ball just holding its line and coming back in a fraction. So Murtagh picks up 2. England 24 for 2. Ireland pretty happy with that, I would imagine. At the end of the first day's play, they made 191 all out, and they have England 24 runs on the board for 2 wickets. They lead, Ireland still lead by 170 odd runs. See you guys tomorrow for day 2.